At the quietest hour of the morning, 5 a.m. on a Saturday, inside the walls of a federal prison where every whisper, every step, is watched, something unfolded that almost no one beyond those walls has ever heard. No alerts, no headlines, no official acknowledgement. And it's that absolute silence that chills the most. Sources we're treating as confidential, but cannot fully verify, indicate that Sean Diddy Combs was allegedly caught in a violent confrontation inside his cell block, leaving him gravely hurt. This isn't gossip scraped from social media, nor some online rumor spiraling out of control. This is coming from deep inside a system designed to lock everything away, out of sight. The incident reportedly took place inside FC1 Fort Dix, a low-security federal facility in New Jersey. On paper, low security sounds calm. But in reality, the prison houses more than 4,100 men, and in a place like this, tensions can ignite in an instant. Low security doesn't mean safe, it just means the chaos has fewer walls to contain it. According to the report, the clash happened in the early hours, when lights are dim, hallways empty, and staff presence is minimal. The altercation allegedly escalated faster than anyone could react. By the time officers arrived, Diddy was reportedly seriously wounded, serious enough that routine medical care wasn't enough. A special medical response team was immediately summoned, and treatment was reportedly administered inside the prison itself. No ambulance. No public emergency. Everything sealed off, behind locked doors, out of view. And here's the part most people don't realize. Federal prisons ban all phones, cameras, or recording devices. That means no footage, no photos, no instant proof. If anything exists, it would have to come through a leak, something rare, something dangerous, and something deliberately hidden. Even then, major media outlets rarely touch these stories without official confirmation. As of now, no verified photos, no videos, no TV coverage, no social media proof, nothing. So the question becomes unavoidable. If this was minor, why the complete silence? And if it was serious, why hasn't anyone admitted it? Former correctional insiders have long said that incidents involving high-profile inmates are often handled internally, not necessarily for their safety, but to shield the institution from scrutiny. Public attention brings investigations, questioning, and pressure. Silence buys time. Early morning incidents are the hardest to verify and the easiest to bury. Shift changes, limited oversight, and thin staff presence create moments where serious events can happen with almost no trace. According to the information we reviewed, Diddy's injuries were reportedly not minor. They demanded immediate intervention. Yet, until now, the public has been told nothing. No statement. No confirmation. No denial. Silence like this rarely happens by accident. This isn't claiming certainty. It's not presenting allegations as fact. But the report, if true, exposes serious concerns about transparency, inmate safety, and what actually happens inside federal walls when the outside world isn't watching. Because once someone enters prison, fame fades, power vanishes, and what occurs behind those walls often stays buried, unless someone chooses to speak. What makes this even more unsettling isn't just the alleged attack, it's the aftermath. In most federal facilities, any serious event produces a paper trail, incident logs, medical records, internal reports, movement restrictions. Yet in this case, nothing appeared publicly, nothing leaked through official channels. That level of silence doesn't occur randomly. FCI Fort Dix is labeled low security, but thousands of inmates live together, and informal hierarchies form fast. Names carry weight inside. And when a high-profile figure enters that world, attention follows, not admiration, but tension. According to sources, after the alleged attack, the cell block was quietly controlled. Not fully locked down, but monitored to prevent questions from spreading. Movement was restricted. Medical staff handled everything internally. No outside response. No emergency evacuation. That decision alone speaks volumes. The goal was control, not exposure. Think about it. If nothing serious happened, why hide it? If something did happen, who benefits from secrecy? Prison systems operate on containment. Not just physical, but informational. When an incident threatens public backlash, legal scrutiny, or challenges to inmate safety, silence becomes the first line of defense. Another detail stands out. Reports suggest medical treatment began almost immediately. That only happens when injuries are obvious and urgent. Minor wounds don't trigger special teams, serious ones do. And yet still, nothing. No confirmation, no denial, no reassurance. Patterns matter here. Institutions stay silent when speaking invites more problems than it solves. Statements lead to questions. Questions lead to investigations. Investigations lead to consequences. This case has implications beyond one person. It raises questions about how federal prisons handle violence, especially when the inmate is globally recognized. Are incidents treated differently? Are records restricted? Are details intentionally delayed? None of these questions have answers yet. What we do know is this: information doesn't vanish. It's delayed, restricted, or buried. And when layers of silence stack, no media, no officials, no leaks, that silence becomes part of the story itself. This isn't about fear or pushing unverified claims. It's about recognizing when absence of information speaks louder than confirmation. In a system built on documentation, nothing happened is often the least believable explanation. Behind prison walls, control outweighs truth. Stability outweighs transparency. When the public hears nothing, it usually means decisions are being made out of sight. The real question now isn't what happened at 5 a.m. It's whether the truth will ever emerge, or if this will become another incident that officially never existed. Because in the federal system, aftermath matters more than the incident. Serious injuries trigger quiet procedures, medical evaluations, psychological assessments, risk reviews, sometimes unannounced housing changes. None of it is public, yet all of it leaves traces that surface weeks or months later, usually in ways few connect back to the original event. And that's why this moment matters. If the injuries were severe, recovery doesn't stop with treatment. Pain management, follow-ups, and monitoring continue. More staff, more eyes, more internal records. Every step increases the chance of a leak. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, through paperwork, testimony, or legal filings. Reputation inside prison is rarely discussed, but it's everything. Once an inmate is seen as vulnerable, everything changes. The dynamics shift, attention sharpens, threat levels rise. Facilities respond silently, adjusting routines, separating individuals, moving them without explanation. Watch for the subtle signals: altered housing, restricted access, delayed filings, unusual legal maneuvers. These are the breadcrumbs institutions can't fully erase. And then there's the outside pressure. When a high-profile inmate is involved, legal teams monitor every detail. Any hint of mistreatment, negligence, or danger becomes leverage. Silence today doesn't mean silence forever. Often, it signals preparation. Here's what most people miss. If nothing had happened, clarity would be simple. A single denial would stop speculation. But silence invites it. It sparks analysis, scrutiny, questions that don't fade. The federal system runs on stability. Anything threatening that, especially public attention, is managed, delayed, and controlled. This isn't conspiracy. It's procedure. Whether this incident will ever be publicly acknowledged remains uncertain. What is certain? Stories don't vanish. They wait. And when they reemerge, it's usually at the most consequential moment, when institutions can no longer control the narrative. Watch not what is said, but what is left unsaid. Look not for headlines, but for their absence. In a system built on records and routines, silence is rarely random. It's deliberate, calculated. By now, one thing is clear. This story is no longer about a single alleged incident. It's about control. Who decides what the public is allowed to know? Inside federal prisons, silence is structured. When stability is threatened, the response is containment, not chaos. Information is slowed, access limited, narratives paused until risk is measured. The higher the profile, the tighter the grip. Notice what hasn't happened. No official denial. No statement. No routine announcement claiming nothing occurred. In systems that issue statements for far less serious matters, inaction is intentional. That decision speaks volumes, not about whether something occurred, but about how much can be safely acknowledged. Liability is another rarely discussed factor. Any injury invites questions about supervision, safety protocols, staff response. Questions lead to exposure. Exposure leads to consequences. Silence becomes a shield, temporary, calculated, long enough to assess damage. Meanwhile, inside the facility, life doesn't snap back immediately. Tension lingers. Quiet conversations circulate. Staff watch closer, patterns shift. These ripples never reach the outside, but they matter. How do stories like this ever surface, if they do at all? Rarely through dramatic announcements or leaked footage. More often through secondary channels, legal filings, court-referenced medical notes, subtle housing changes and appeals, testimony months later that finally connects the dots. Truth moves in closed systems slowly, indirectly, deliberately. And when a story stays silent too long, it doesn't vanish. It transforms into speculation, then analysis, then mounting pressure. Eventually, someone breaks that silence, not out of choice, but because the cost of hiding it becomes higher than the cost of revealing it. Right now, we are in that quiet, tense middle phase. Nothing is confirmed, nothing denied. Attention is quietly discouraged. History shows this phase never lasts forever. Institutions can delay. They can restrict. They can shape the narrative. But they cannot erase it. And when silence finally breaks, it rarely does so quietly. At the end of all this, the real story isn't whether headlines hit tomorrow or next week. It's what silence slowly exposes over time. False stories collapse fast. They get denied, dismissed, forgotten. But stories that linger in silence don't fade. They hover, waiting. And hovering stories have a way of resurfacing when no one expects them. Right now, there are no statements, no confirmations, no denials, just a vacuum. And vacuums in systems built on documentation are never random. They are carefully crafted pauses, temporary spaces designed to regain control. But control has limits. Every institution leaves footprints. Every decision creates a record. Every enforced pause delays the truth, but it does not destroy it. Somewhere, logs exist. Somewhere, reports exist. Somewhere, people know exactly what happened, and they are waiting for the right moment to speak. And moments change. Pressure mounts. Circumstances shift. Interests collide. And when that collision happens, stories that were never meant to escape suddenly find daylight. This is why attention matters. Not outrage, not speculation, attention. Because when the public watches, silence becomes harder to maintain. And when silence becomes too costly, the truth starts to move, slowly at first, then all at once. Until that moment comes, remember this. What happens behind locked doors rarely stays hidden forever. It waits. It lingers. And when it emerges, it usually brings more questions than answers. Stay alert. Stay aware. Because the most important details are always the ones no one talks about, but everyone notices.